most people that go to play university sports, especially males, but females as well, and minorities, like especially I would say basketball is strong too. Like
Mhm.
it's common to like play basketball and then just kind of get lost in life and not have a plan or an idea of what you want to do. But you went to school, you got a major, minor, and then you went to law school and you were on the dean's list, and talk about those moments and like what was maybe different for you than, and I know you just talked a bit about it, but compared to like some of your peers in university that you know.
Yeah. So it's like a huge problem for me, and I really and universities for it is the number of athletes who don't graduate or don't finish or settle, do 2 3 years and don't finish, or maybe they run out of time so they get their certificate instead of their degree. And I just think it's a shame when you don't finish because you dedicate so much of your life, your body, your mind to that school and that program. And of course, I'm not trying to blame the university for everything because you do have to study on your own, but I think it's resources that are neglected for certain individuals. So, an example for me was there's this academic all Canadian breakfast that like all players go to, and if you play for U Sports Canada, and you get an average over 80%. And I went to it one year, and I was the only black athlete at it at St. Mary's, which is crazy because the basketball team and is like mostly, and as well as football. So for me, that was like a very traumatizing moment where I was like, "What the hell's going on here?" But also like, "Look what you did." And so I think I'm constantly battling with that in my head. It's like we have so many issues, but you have to take care of yourself. So I think it's this like huge weight kind of on like your shoulders, especially if you are a minority, that like when you're in a position like this, it's like, okay, I'm going forward, I'm doing something that wasn't expected, but there's so many people left behind. And I don't know what the answer to that is right now, but I think it's a huge problem. And hopefully, once I'm able to become a lawyer and actually have more resources and be more educated, that's something I would love to get involved in. Um,
Were you ever involved with anything like that in social rights, social justice during school or something?
no, there was like some mentorship programs I volunteered with, but
How was that?
it was okay. Some people participate, some people don't. It's not that serious because it was like run by students,
Mm.
not so much by the school and not so much by the coaches. So it's like a lot less mandatory. So it's like you meet every so often as much as they want. Not everybody wants to meet.
Looking back on it now, like where you are, would you have been more forceful in terms of like the mentor that you were supposed to mentor? Like, would you have gone, maybe try to go after the player a bit more and be like, yo, listen to me, like instead of being like, you know what, this guy keeps blowing, or this girl keeps blowing me off, like they don't want to listen, like I'm not gonna, like, how do you ever think about that now? Sorry to interrupt.
No, I think it takes two to tango though in the same light of it all. Like you can't force someone to want to do something. Someone might have that desire like low key in the back of their mind, deep in their hearts, but like everyone has someone who they feel more comfortable with, and I think that might be one of the key issues is like finding like some sort of like I don't know, like mentor for every single team that can like resonate. Maybe you need like three of them on a football team, and people can kind of jive with who they jive with. But I think that's like a huge element of it is like I was randomly selected and paired with certain people, which is like fair because it's anonymous, but that doesn't guarantee that that person will be comfortable with me.
True.
That's man, Will. That's what we were exactly talking about. Almost similar to T Bear. Like this morning, we were talking to T Bear again, and he talked about the issues or the structural issues going on with inside of these kind of like black communities, and saying that the issue with like police officers coming into those communities and trying to help, their way of trying to help is just going in there and taking the problem out and removing that person or whatever. and he was just explaining to us how that's just not going to work. It's not going to eventually solve the problem, because these police officers aren't resonating at all, and they're not easy to empathize with between the two groups, right? That's everything. That's everything to do with connecting with people, communicating with people, understanding their problems, where they may be coming from. So it's just like, you can go in any level, whether it's just in university or whether it's at a province or country level with social issues. It's just like the main thing, and that's why it's probably the hardest thing to solve, is how do you get everyone to understand everyone, right? Like,
exactly. And I think that just involves a little more listening, because it's not to say that you have to agree with what someone has to say,
right.
But I think half the problem is like nobody wants to listen, or like we judge. So someone might have committed a crime in the community, so you come in and you automatically judge. And like our system is typically and historically, you're gonna go to jail or you're gonna get a record for it, rather than have that conversation, or like,
right,
why did you do this? Like, what brought you here? And I think that's the problem, is like we penalize people rather than like figuring out what the problem is.
Right, and that's why I said that's why people don't want to call the police if something's going on, because
you don't want to ruin someone's future over one mistake.
Word for word.
Thanks for tuning in to TOTFC podcast. If you liked it and you want to hear more, please share it with a friend, a family member, a teammate, or anybody. Like the video, consider subscribing to TOTFC podcast.